I'm Kendall Rainey, Associate Athletic Director, and on behalf of Danny Sterling, the UVa-Wise Athletic Department, and the Highland Cavalier Club, we want to welcome you all here to the 2016 UVa-Wise Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Today's an exciting day as we gather to celebrate a special moment in the history of UVa-Wise women's basketball and to establish another significant accomplishment on that timeline. Today, with the induction of Sarah Helton into the UVa-Wise Athletic Hall of Fame, the number of alumni and friends who are here today symbolize what Sarah and these young women have contributed to the Wise community, and I'm very honored to be part of the day. At this time, I'd like to thank ARMS Software as the sponsor of our event and the UVa-Wise staff who made this event possible.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony to honor our newest inductee, Sarah Helton. In my 3 years at the college, this is actually the first year, and it must be some kind of a major event, that this event hasn't been canceled or postponed or moved because of snow. So the fact that the sun is shining, and I think it's supposed to get up to 50 degrees today, is just wonderful and fabulous, and I'm thrilled to see everyone who came out, which I think is a great honor not only to Sarah but to the team from the year that won the major tournament, so that's very exciting. I especially am pleased to welcome all the alumni, donors, and friends who are here today, and it's always a delight to provide a warm welcome to our Chancellor Emeritus, Joseph Smitty, who's with us today. So the Chancellor's in the house. And I'd like to thank my family, Maggie and Alan, for being here today. You may notice that Jesse is missing. We had a late night. We had to pick Alan up in the Tri-Cities and didn't get home until about 2. And I thought Jesse was up and moving, but apparently she didn't quite get to there with us today. But Jesse will join us for the games a little bit later today. And I always thank them for joining us for these special events here at the college. For those of you who haven't been on campus for a while, and I know several members of the team, the campus probably looks a little bit different. We have some new buildings here. Right behind us, the new library that's going up will be completed this summer. Apparently there was a tradition when the Wiley Library opened, faculty and students carried books from the former library, which I think was Zemer, if I'm not mistaken, into Wiley. So I think this summer we'll plan a day, and even if it's just ceremonial, and Robin's over there shaking his head, no, this isn't going to happen. I think we need to carry some books across from the current library to the new library. But we will move into the library this summer, and it will be open in the fall for students, so we're very excited about that. And it will add several things to campus, not only the library and the access and classrooms with technology, but also study space for our students, which is really needed on the campus. And our new writing center will go in the library, which is an exciting new aspect. And then currently, knock on wood, the governor has included a renovation of the Wiley Library, so we'll have some additional academic space. And so as long as that funding stays in place, we'll begin planning for that renovation this year, and then that new construction will happen. And that will give us the capacity to continue to grow and meet the needs of the region and of our students who come to the college. So on to athletics. As you know, in 2015, the college completed our final steps in our 3-year transition process to become full NCAA Division II members. And in July 2015, I got the call in the middle of the month letting us know that we were approved to move forward to active status as NCAA Division II members, which was effective September the 1st. And this was no small feat for us. It was a major undertaking that began in 2012. And it's a major accomplishment that opens many doors and many possibilities for UVa-Wise, for our students both on and off the field, and for our college. So attaining full membership is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our staff who work so diligently and tirelessly to fulfill the administrative, operational, and fiscal requirements necessary to obtain that coveted status. For their tenacity and outstanding service to the college, I would like to thank Vice Chancellor Sim Ewing, our athletic director, Danny Sterling, our Associate Director, Athletic Director Kendall Rainey, and our Faculty Athletic Representative Tom Costa. Thank you all, also to our coaches, faculty, students, and staff. Every January, the NCAA members convene to attend the National Convention. This year it was held in San Antonio just a few weeks ago, and our college was eligible to fully participate as full-fledged members of the NCAA, and we were able to exercise our well-earned right to vote at the 2016 convention. So we were able to vote on the new rules and regulations, which is a great turning point for us in our college histories. So I wanted to make you aware of that. And speaking of other milestones, in December, Coach Dane Dameron was named our 4th head football coach in the 25-year history of Highland Cavalier football program. Dane is with us today with his wife, Delisha, sitting at the front table. Hopefully you'll get a chance to meet him. Coach Dameron is a native of Grayson, Kentucky, and he comes to the college with 22 years of coaching experience, most recently serving as offensive coordinator at Eastern Kentucky. I should say offensive coordinator, not offensive. Sorry, Dane. Have to remember where to put the accent on that word. At Eastern Kentucky University. Coach Dameron has a proven track record of success both on and off the field, in the classroom, and we look forward to reaching new heights under your leadership and vision. And to continue on with good news, I'm also pleased to report that we're moving quickly and diligently forward on one of the major strategies in the college's strategic plan, which is entitled Envisioning 2020. Our stated goal is to raise the balance of our athletic endowments to $10 million by 2020. Well, with 4 years to go, and with much kudos to our development staff, generous donors who have helped the college, we have raised $9 million already toward that goal. Again, this is a testament to all the champions of the college, to all the people who advocate for the college and pour their resources, time, energy, and passion into UVa-Wise. So I thank you all for that. And I've already informed Bob Bragg, our Vice Chancellor for Development, that we're going to have to reset that goal because there are other things that we need to do in athletics. So he can't, just say, shh, we're done with that one. So we'll keep working. At UVa-Wise, athletics comprises over 12% of our student body, with approximately 250 student athletes each year. We have 6 men's sports and 7 women's sports. Our student athletes follow what we call the Cavalier Way. The Cavalier Way includes components for competitive success, for personal growth, including communication, accountability, vision, altruism, leadership, integrity, encouragement, and respect. We work diligently to model and instill these qualities individually into our teams, as well into the operation of our athletic program. And these many advancements wouldn't be possible without the strong foundation built by the exemplary services, athletic prowess of those who came before us. And that's why we're here today. We are so proud to honor Sarah Helton and the inductees present who have made enormous contributions to the college and in their time here have excelled in athletics. In just a few minutes, we will induct Sarah into the UVa-Wise Athletic Hall of Fame. Her name will be placed on the Athletic Hall of Fame display, which is now located in the concourse of the Pryor Center. But before we move on to our program, I'd like to recognize our past honorees who are with us today. So would Athletic Hall of Fame inductees from previous years please stand to be recognized? Paula Adams, Rachel Clay Cohane, Dick Davidson, and Kendall Rainey. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Kendall, who will introduce Danny Lee, former assistant women's basketball coach. Kendall? Thank you.
I can't agree more on the weather. We're very fortunate to have good weather. First, we're going to recognize the 2006 women's basketball team. 10 years ago, the women's basketball program at UVa-Wise advanced to the national tournament for the first time and the only time in school history, program history. The team won 3 games in 3 days to ultimately claim the 2006 Appalachian Athletic Conference Tournament Championship with a 57-54 victory over King College, which everyone knows when we beat King College, it's the best thing ever, right? First round game playing Tennessee Wesleyan, the Cavs found themselves in an overtime affair. The duo of Sarah Helton and Lachey Collier would prove to be too much for the Bulldogs as UVA-Wise scored a 76-71 victory. A day later, the Cavs once again found themselves in a tight contest. After scoring just 20 points in the first half, UVA-Wise battled back to have a 1-point lead against Milligan going into the final seconds of the conference semifinal. With the game on the line, Sarah Helton helped send her team to the finals as she blocked a game-winning shot attempt to preserve the victory. Sarah and her sister Rachel combined to score 35 points in the win, while Chelsea Lee posted 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. In the championship game, Terry Ann Hill would prove to be the difference maker for UVA-Wise. The St. Paul native turned in the best game of her collegiate career when her team needed it the most. Missing just 3 shots, she scored a game-high 18 points and grabbed 6 rebounds in the victory. And the national tournament was actually streamed into the Chapel of All Faiths here on campus when they went out to compete in the national tournament. And that also makes this team the first team technically to play in a live-streamed event for UVA-Wise. Technically. This team helped lead the way for an era of great success in UVA-Wise athletics, particularly women's athletics, and we are very, very proud to welcome them home today. Would all members of the team and coaching staff that are in attendance today please stand and be recognized? At this time, I'll invite Coach Rachel Clay Cohane to the stage.
I hope you can hear me because this doesn't adjust. So it'll just have to do. I guess I shouldn't have wore heels today. But let's see. I wanted to they asked me to make a few comments. Hopefully I won't go on. I got the notes to keep me on track because I can get to talking about this group and go for a while. And then we got a ball game to get to. But has it really been 10 years? When I get up in my bones creak and I look in the mirror and I look at my daughter, who was 2 at the time, I can see that it's been 10 years. But when I look in the faces of some of these players, it seems like we should be headed over to the locker room to suit up. I don't know if you know, but Coach Danny Lee is an alum of Marshall University. So what day is it today? Game day. And he used to do that with us as well. And Danny Lee has always been the heart of this team in many ways. He could talk these women into scaling a wall and running through it, whatever, just because they just admired him so. I was asked to comment a little bit about the team in the season of 2005 and 2006. Of course, we have talked about wins and losses at length, and that was great. Well, the wins were great, the losses not so much. But generally, you could tell how a game was going to go by our first set of the game. It was a play that we borrowed from Duke, but it was called Stanford. That makes sense, but we already had a play named Duke, so we had to call it something else. Anyway, this play was to warm up Rachel Helton in a hurry. We would set a double screen, so our first shot was Rachel Helton three-pointer. When she hit it, things were going to be okay, and she generally hit it. So I thought I'd tell a little bit a story that's a little known about the formation of this team. 10 years ago, well, let's back up 13 years ago, Caroline Baca had just finished her freshman season at UVA-Wise. She had made a big splash in the conference. Once when she wasn't feeling well, we had a tough game against Covenant College. And because she wasn't 100%, we decided that we were going to let her play for about 5 minutes and pull her out for a couple minutes and then put her back in for 5 minutes. Well, in the last 10 minutes of the first half, she ripped off 19 points. During the middle of that streak, she came to the sidelines and asked for a break. And Coach David Lee and I at the time kind of looked at each other and said, nope, sorry, you're in. And so I knew at that time that I needed to get her some help. Otherwise, we're going to kill her. At the same time, many of these women were getting ready to graduate from high school. At that time, the women's basketball scholarship account consisted of $20,000 and 2 or 3 room and board plans. The total cost for room and board and tuition and fees at that time was about $10,000. So if you do the math, I'm a math teacher, that translates to between 2 to 3 full scholarships and in-state and maybe 1 out-of-state. Recruiting out-of-state player was not even a remote possibility at that time. And before I go any further, this is not a plea for money because the scholarship account has increased a whole lot more than that by now, although I guess costs go up, so scratch that. If you do have extra money, give it to women's basketball. Anyway, my main point in talking about this is to tell you about another side of the athletes that you may not know. Remember the math, $20,000 to be split among 10 to 12 players. And to top it off, the quality of this freshman group meant that the majority had sizable offers from other institutions, many with the quote-unquote full ride. I did not know how we were going to be able to afford to bring them all in. This lack of funds was also apparent to in the assistant coaching stipends. We didn't have any full-time assistants in those days either. Danny and David Lee didn't even receive enough money for the gas to get to the college every day. And so if I had relied on the basketball money alone, it would not have been possible. As it turns out, what you may not know about these fine athletes is that these women were excellent scholars as well. Chelsea Lee graduated the second in her class, and everybody else was way up there, not on the top 10 or 5% of their class. No surprise that Chelsea led the way. She always did. She has coaching in her blood, so she can always read the room and the floor. Once as a freshman, Chelsea basically got her nose broken by a player from Virginia Intermont while going for a layup. She outsmarted her larger and older defender, and I believe the hit, personally, I'm a little biased, but I believe the hit was done on purpose to get Chelsea out of the game or to at least send her a message to back off. Uncharacteristic of a freshman, but very much the character of Chelsea Lee. With the broken nose, she hit the layup and the free throw for the three-point play, and then the next consecutive times that we had the ball, she drove right in and completed 2 more layups. She sent her own message to VI. I don't know if they got the message that day, but I got the message that day. Chelsea Lee was tough as nails and twice as sharp. And all of these players have excelled at athletics, but they've also excelled at academics. It was a good thing that they had bright minds because we required them to learn multiple plays and sets and defenses. We had over 20 sets and probably still counting. We continually gleaned plays from other teams that was watched. At one point, we joked about banning David Lee from watching any more TV because we could never learn one more set. However, it was a good thing that he did because I think he brought home, Gonzaga gave us Zags pretty soon after that, and we got quite a few good baskets from that. I would also mention that in addition to learning our own plays, we worked to learn the plays of our opponents as well. Covenant College had a similar long list of plays like us, and so preparing for them was arduous and very constant. During one game against Covenant, I think I'm a little hazy about the details, so excuse me on this one. I believe it was junior Sarah Helton that had to come out for a bit. I don't know if she was injured or foul trouble or something like that. But so Lauren Jervis was going to have to play for her position, who was a freshman at that time. Lauren always worked hard in practice, and she did an excellent job of running the opponent's plays. At that moment, when we informed her that she'd be running the 4 position, she confessed later that her mind went totally blank on her own plays, and that she could only remember Covenant's plays, and she would have felt more comfortable subbing in for their team. But she did a great job, and she had a knack. Lauren has a knack for hitting that basket when you needed one, or coming up with a big rebound when the game was on the line. So, and back to recruiting these guys. The Inter Ray Spinella, who was the athletic director at this time, Rusty Necessary, who still is vice chancellor over admissions, and Bill Wendell, who was in financial aid at the time. Each of these individuals worked tirelessly with me to find academic scholarships that these students could apply for. UVa-Wise is a truly wonderful, unique place where people in prestigious positions such as that would care to help a struggling women's basketball program. But that's one of the awesome things about this place. People are willing to see the vision that you see and help you to achieve it. Without Ray, Rusty, and Bill, there's no way that this would have happened. From a coach's standpoint, I would love to be able to say that we found all the money that we needed, and they gave everybody large scholarships, but I cannot. Our scholarship offers were still not as full as many of the offers that these athletes were receiving from other institutions. So here's another quality of these athletes that I do not think many people know. They were willing to accept the scholarship offerings that we had, even though they were less than other offers. They believed in creating something new that hadn't been done here before. They wanted to do something for this hometown college. And I once asked Sarah Helton, who was, as soon as she walked on campus, was our captain and our leader. She had that way. She didn't have to say a thing, just step on the court and everybody knew who was in charge. I asked her what made her decide to go with UVa-Wise with all the other offers. She just kind of shrugged her shoulders and said, it's home. I believe she and others felt that they could give back to the community a little something. She could give back to her parents a little something. She could give to athletes that followed her a different vision of what college athletes can be, in that you do not always have to follow the money. Part of this vision was spread by Terry Ann Hill Funk. She committed to Wise early as she wanted to be a two-sport athlete participating in softball and basketball, and Wise gave her that opportunity. I do not need to tell you about Terry Ann, as she's never met a stranger. If you've met her, then you're her best friend. After Terry Ann had a conversation with a gentleman at Shoney's one time, just a brief conversation, unbeknownst to everyone, he went up and paid for the meal for the entire team. That's the kind of persuasion this girl has. If she were old enough, she'd probably be leading the field of potential presidential candidates, and I'd probably vote for her. Let's see. Terry Ann is a loyal and good friend and teammate, and she played with many of these players on different leagues growing up since they were very young, and she remained close to them. So she talked frequently with the others as they were trying to make their decision of what college to attend. And I'll tell you a little secret. You would think people had scouted us. You would think they would be able to stop that three-point shot that started every game that Rachel Helton would shoot. I'll tell you the reason why they couldn't. It was Terry Ann's scream. It's bone-jarring. One time she did it to Danny Lee in practice, and I don't think he's gotten over it yet. When we would watch tape of previous games, we would watch those screens again and again in slow motion. They're awesome, and she is awesome. Another early commitment to attend UVa-Wise was Molly Baldwin. In fact, she was the first in her class to commit to attend. She was also one of the first to make that transition from playing high school ball to college ball. During her freshman year, we attended a tournament in Bluefield, West Virginia. Molly was a big reason that we won. She was selected to the all-tournament team for that event. Her beautiful fiery red hair came with a fiery ability to win. She had more than her share of challenges over her years here, but she's always come out better and stronger. And that freshman year was for all these players was exciting. They were learning and growing so quickly. We peaked just at the right time. Brevard College had many seasoned older players, and we happened to meet them second round in the conference tournament. We had a chance to win with the last-second layup that just didn't fall. It would have been a monumental upset. After holding us off, Brevard breezed through the rest of the tournament and made the trip to the national tournament. Well, I can't help thinking about what might have been. These players handled it well. They only got hungrier. And another key event happened that following year. We were able to get the late transfer of Lachey Collier Hall. She was an immediate impact and a piece of the puzzle that was desperately missing. Financially, I do not know how we afforded her, but we did, and she was worth every penny. Due to the late transfer, she could not suit up that sophomore year, but she made up for lost time the next year by terrorizing her opponents. She was so strong that she wore down her opponents. She was so smart that she knew exactly where to be to pick off that important steal that we needed. We were also able to recruit a couple young guards, Crystal Ratcliffe and Kim Norris. Crystal's calm demeanor and ability to hit the big shot when needed helped to anchor the team. Kim's fiery and energetic. She had great handles with the ball. She would baffle opponents by driving to open areas in that 5 to 10 foot shot. Ashley Reese transferred in that year also. No one worked harder than Ashley. She was a tenacious defender. She was ineligible to play during that season, 2005-2006 season, but she continued to work out, and she volunteered to help us keep the book that year. We needed all of these players because Coach Danny Lee would have had us trap and press for the entire 40 minutes of game time if I would let him. The more players that could give solid minutes, the more we could use that press effectively. So we continued to add players. Tabitha Lance and Lindsay Fletcher were a couple of the last ones added. Tabitha and Lindsay were only able to play that 1 year, but they had great character, which fit in perfectly with the rest of the team. They played and practiced just as hard as anyone else. It turned out that the conference tournament that year that we needed every one of those players. As Kendall has already mentioned, it was if one person had not contributed the effort that they did, we would not have gone to that national tournament. And I have learned that you cannot replace people. You can get other people that can do other things, but nobody can do what you do. And from that, and again, the first game went into overtime. The second game came down to a last-second block. And the championship game against King College, where they just wouldn't go away. We'd jump out to a lead, and then they'd battle back, and then we'd have to find a way to jump out to a lead again. It was a close game, even to the end. During that tournament, there were times, as Kendall told us, that each player had a time to pick us up and carry us for a little while. While we didn't get the win that we hoped for in the national tournament, the trip to Sioux City was full of great experiences, from driving around town in a bus that was on fire, to the hotel losing our reservations and almost getting us kicked out of the tournament, and then almost giving away the shirt off our backs, but rethinking that when we discovered some of us had spilled barbecue sauce on it from the rib house we'd eaten at earlier. I wouldn't trade any of those memories. I hope you hold that time in your life just as dear. And back to finish the recruiting story. Due to the academic abilities of these athletes, not only did we lead the conference in many basketball statistics, we are also one of the top teams in the conference in overall GPA, of which I'm just as proud. And as a result, each player, save one, associated with this team during that season graduated from UVa-Wise with a 4-year degree. Quite a few have continued their education at graduate schools. In conclusion, I will hearken back to a speech given by Jimmy Valvano at the ESPY Awards shortly before his body succumbed to cancer. He said, quote, "To me, there are 3 things we should do every day. We should do this every day of our lives. Number 1 is laugh. We should laugh every day. Number 2 is think. You should spend some time in thought. Number 3 is you should have your emotions move to tears. Could be happiness or joy, but think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special." Unquote. Given this definition during these years with these players, we had a heck of a day. We had something special. And I love them all dearly. And I thank you for having us here today.
Thank you very much, Coach. I have to move this back down. As Coach Clay alluded to, this team meant a lot to UVA-Wise. It meant a lot to their peers as well. They had an influence. I can say this firsthand. They had an influence not only on basketball players, but volleyball players and softball players and every other team here alike, academically and on the court or field. So now I'll invite former UVA-Wise assistant women's basketball coach Danny Lee to the stage to induct Sarah Helton into the Hall of Fame.
Sarah, when you go last, a lot of people use the stuff you have, so keep in mind that hopefully I haven't used your stuff because you and I corresponded with this, but Rachel, thank you for everything. Kendall, thank you. Good afternoon. Let me begin by sharing what a pleasure it is to be here, to share this special event with Sarah and her family, her friends, her parents, her teammates, and her coaches. Dr. Hendry, Kendall Rainey, Danny Sterling, who continues to be in our thoughts and prayers, thank you for honoring Sarah today and this championship team. It brings back great memories to be on this campus and to take part in this special occasion. Wednesday, May 8th, 1985. That date probably doesn't register with many of you, but that date is probably the most significant date to Kathy and Ron Helton. On this date, Kathy gave birth to Rachel and Sarah. Rachel, being her typical self of always wanting to be in front, came out first. 17 minutes later, Sarah came out. The first time I remember seeing Sarah and Rachel was in the summer of 1995, and these girls don't even remember this. I had worked a basketball camp at Coburn, and they were in Roma's here in Wise with their pap, Daniel Pap Mullins. I see Mr. Mullins come in. He has these two young ladies who I think are very tall and look very immature to be very tall. And I'm thinking, who are these young ladies? And the gentleman I'm having lunch with says, those are the Helton twins. And I said, wow, how old are they? And he said, they're 10. I said, well, they look like they're pretty good athletes to me. And he said, well, they're supposed to be extremely good athletes, and they spend all their time in the gym at UVa-Wise or at J.J. Kelly. So as I sat there and I saw Mr. Mullins having lunch with his granddaughters, they were dressed as though they had returned from the gym. It was obvious that Pap and Gran, who always attended their games, had a special relationship with both granddaughters. I assume both girls were at a Robin Dotson basketball camp because he conducted those every summer. I'm sure that Coach Dotson realized that he had something special with these tall, skinny, long-armed girls who loved to play basketball more than anyone. Sarah, along with two of her high school and college teammates, Rachel and Lachey Collier, would eventually lead J.J. Kelly and Coach Robin Dotson to their first Virginia High School League Group A state championship in the year of 2002. During Sarah's high school career, she played eventual teammates in college, Terry Ann Hill, Caroline Baca, Melissa Large, and Chelsea Lee. During Sarah's high school career, she would go on to score 1,524 points, accumulate 912 rebounds, and have 415 steals. She ended her high school career as a two-time Group A first-team All-State player, and in 2002, she was named the Group A Co-Player of the Year. She also won the Group A State Individual High Jump Championship in 2003 upon graduation. Sarah, Rachel, and Lachey were the staples of Robin Dotson's 221 press. J.J. Kelly would go on to finish J.J. Kelly would go on, and Sarah would finish her high school career with a record of 30 wins and 0 losses. They began the season by defeating Twin Springs 81-37. That year, J.J. Kelly defeated all opponents by 10 points or more. Ironically, the championship game against James Monroe, they defeated James Monroe 81-37. The same girl that Sarah had defeated in the state basketball championship is the same girl that Sarah had defeated in the state high jump championship from James Monroe, who happened to be the daughter of the head coach of James Monroe High School. In the spring of 2003, Sarah and Rachel signed a letter of intent to play college basketball at Virginia Commonwealth University. During that summer, along with the Helton twins, Lachey Collier signed to play basketball at Tusculum College, Chelsea Lee signed to play at Coastal Carolina, and Terry Ann Hill decided to further her career here at UVa-Wise, playing both basketball and softball. At that point, Terry Ann Hill, and if you know Terry Ann, she's always trying to sell something. She's an entrepreneur, she's a salesman. She began to work her magic. Terry Ann convinced all the aforementioned players to return back to UVA-Wise. These young ladies would lead the University of Virginia's College at Wise to the 2006 Appalachian Athletic Conference Tournament Championship by defeating King College. In 3 days, they defeated Tennessee Wesleyan, Milligan, and King College. The tournament was held at King College that year, and the championship game was a victory by UVA-Wise by a score of 57-54. And as Coach Clay had alluded to, probably one of the best games you've seen. It was a lot of lead changes, a lot of back and forth, a lot of runs. They'd make a run, we'd make a run. They'd make a run, we'd make a run. Sarah would be named the tournament MVP. At that point, we then traveled to the NAIA Division II National Championship in Sioux City, Iowa. The team traveled ahead of David and I because both of us were administrators in Wise County at the time. We flew in later on in the week, a couple of days later, and the thing I remember about Sioux City the most is there was a chicken farm or a pig farm there, and it was the god-awful smell I ever smelled in my life when we got there. And I looked at my brother Dave and I said, I hope we're here for a week, but I got to get used to this smell. We were defeated in the national tournament by the defending national champs and the host, Morningside College. We were defeated by a score of 82-62 in a very large arena in their hometown. We go to the arena, there's probably 6,000 people there. 5,980 of them were for Morningside. The 20 we brought from UVa-Wise were for UVa-Wise. So again, we were playing at a host school and had our backs against the wall. The following year, injuries and a brutal schedule, who I talked Coach Clay into playing, really took its toll on us. We were playing some of the top teams in the country. And I said, if we got to get back to this point, we got to play the best to get back here. Well, little beknownst did I know that in the first 3 weeks of the season, we were playing 3 of the top 5 teams in the country. So we went a little above our head at that point, and the injuries really took its toll on us. Sarah Helton ended her collegiate career with 2,182 points. She had over 1,000 career rebounds and 332 steals. In 2003, Sarah was named as the AAC Freshman of the Year and third-team All-Conference. In 2004, she was voted second-team All-Conference. In 2005, Sarah was selected to the first-team All-Conference, the Defensive Player of the Year, and third-team All-American. In 2006, Sarah was selected to the first-team All-Conference and honorable mention All-American. Sarah was also awarded the ESPN Magazine Women Basketball Academic All-American Team, College Division, second team, and was named the National Strength and Conditioning Association All-American Athlete of the Year in 2005. Sarah Helton received a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration and graduated from the Teacher Education program here in 2007 with a concentration in business education. Sarah began teaching at Patrick Henry High School in 2008, where she currently still teaches. She's a business education instructor teaching web design, business management, and information technology. Sarah serves as a sponsor of the Future Business Leaders of America at Patrick Henry High School. In addition, Sarah is also the varsity assistant for girls volleyball, girls basketball, girls track and field. When I thought about how to best describe Sarah, many words came to my mind. Sarah was relentless. She was dedicated. She was a leader. She was dependable. She was a team player, but most of all, she was very humble. I asked Sarah when I spoke to her, what do you remember most about what we taught you? She said, Coach, she said, I always remember you consistently preaching to us that each season is a marathon, not a sprint. Well, today, Sarah, you won that marathon. I'd like to ask Coach Robin Dotson, Coach David Lee, and Coach Clay to please come forward. Today we induct Sarah Helton as the 11th female inductee into the University of Virginia's College at Wise Hall of Fame. It is with great honor that I present this award to Miss Sarah Helton.
Thank you all for being here today. I am overwhelmed and humbled by this occasion and would like to start by thanking some very special people. Today we are joined by a group of individuals that are my family and friends. These family and friends have had an exponential impact on my life. I'd first like to thank those members of my extended family who are here with us today and thank them for coming to share this experience with me. Here with me today include Uncle Tim Mullins, Uncle Dan and Aunt Debbie Helton, and special family friends Paul and Jennifer Hibbets, Candace Lane, and neighbors Linda and Donna Bryant. Next, I'd like to thank all of those coaches that were just up here and their families who have greatly impacted my life in many ways. High school head coach Robin Dotson and college coaches head coach Rachel Clay Cohane, assistant coach Danny Lee and his family, and assistant coach David Lee and his family. As a coach myself now, I better understand the sacrifices that you've made away from your families and personal investments made, and I want each of you to know how thankful I am for your personal commitment in helping mold me into the player that I've become. Next, I'd like to thank the entire athletic and alumni staff here at UVa-Wise for all of their help in preparing for this ceremony, specifically Deborah Horton and Kendall Rainey. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to Athletic Director Danny Sterling and Associate Athletic Director Kendall Rainey. I'd also like to thank former Athletic Director Ray Spinella, who you heard Coach Clay talk about with all of his help and tremendous help in helping Rachel and I be able to come back here and play ball. I'd like to extend a very big thank you to Chancellor Donna Henry for investing her interest in women's basketball and welcoming this great team of 06 back home. Thank you. Last, I'd like to thank those members of my immediate family, grandmother Juanita Mullins, parents Ron and Kathy Helton, Amanda Chitwood, Braylon Scammell, and sister Rachel Helton for their commitment, their dedication, their love, and their support throughout my basketball career and life. Without their love and guidance, this would not be possible. Thank you. This day will celebrate my impact on the women's basketball program, but will also celebrate and honor a special team, and that's the team of 2006. This team was comprised of 6 Wise County High School graduates and 7 Wise County natives, 3 of which played on my high school basketball team at J.J. Kelly High School, where we shared the school's first 30-0 season and gave head coach Robin Dotson his first state championship. 5 of these players played on AAU teams together at ages 10 to 14. This team is a special team to the college and to the community because of its extraordinary accomplishments, but this team is special to me because of the special bonds that we have created along the way. 4 of these teammates were those that at age 10 we traveled to Orlando to compete in the 10 and under national championships under Coach Lawrence Pee Wee Dean. 3 of these teammates were those that celebrated a perfect season and state championship on our 3rd and final try in high school. And 3 of these teammates majored in business administration and are now teaching in public education in the state of Virginia. At 10 years of age, we started this incredible journey, only to finish up together on a team in a small town called Wise, Virginia, at a small college named UVa-Wise. The family atmosphere created not only by these invaluable bonds that I have just shared, but the closeness of teammate Chelsea Lee's father and uncle as assistant coaches helped our team operate like a family. The chemistry that we all shared, having played 12 years together, played such a vital role in all of our success. The parents that traveled with us were those that had driven us to Orlando when we were 10. These same parents were those that led our bus home from J.J. Kelly after we won our state championship our senior year. And finally, when watching the end of the film of that 2006 AAC championship game at King, these players and parents These parents were those that rushed out of the stands, jumping into our arms, crying tears of joy. I believe that it does take a village to raise kids, and what a wonderful village this has been. Thank you to these teammates and to our parents. We have had some very special memories along the way. Today is a special day. I'm going to now talk and share some stories with you about how basketball has impacted my life. Basketball started for me in sweatpants, a gigantic bow in my hair, and white Keds. And for those of you that know me, know that's not me. Mom and Dad taught Rachel and I very valuable lessons. Dad especially always taught us to be a man of our word, to never swear, especially to God, and promises are those that are held in the highest regard. If you promise something, you meant it. And Mom always promised us that no matter the day, the hour, the minute, that if we asked to go play ball, she would make it happen. She promised us that, and she did. There were many Saturday nights that we would call campus police, she would call campus police, and ask them to unlock the gym. And they would whisper to Mom, make sure you lock it up. We would shoot ball from until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then go to bed, get up the next morning, go to church, and then after church, we were going over to Castlewood for our 10 and under AAU practice for 3 hours. She would sit with us and watch the whole time. During summer team camp at Emory and Henry, Green and Pat, we complained about how hot it was in the dorms. They bought us a window air conditioner just for that week. Dad would make his famous rainbow chip cupcakes and beef jerky, and so that the whole week we had a floor of mattresses in an Emory and Henry dorm room because our room was cool and we had food. The reason I'm telling you this is because to let you know that it's because of our family and their investment in our dream and their efforts, both financial and time, and lots of labor of love that helped us become who we are today. This is a picture of my grandfather. We called him Pat, and there's our little dog Foofer. Pat stressed the importance of making the free shots. He said, when you get fouled and you have a chance to make a free throw, you need to make it. And he said for every 10 free throws that we would make in a row that he would witness, he would give us $2. It wasn't very long that deal kind of stopped. Dad also had a similar deal. He said, Sarah, when you go up and you shoot a layup and you're fouled, you should make the layup. He said, that's a chance to get an extra point. He said, for every 3-point layup that you make and you finish the free throw off, you got $2. So very similar deal. And I believe that this practice of perfection planted a seed of work ethic in Rachel and I both that would eventually help us to become the scholarship athletes here at UVa-Wise. This next title is called If You Want It, Go Get It, and take advantage of every opportunity. Rachel taught me, and you can see a little picture down there, Rachel taught me that when we were 8, if you want the ball and you don't have it, even if your teammate has it, go steal it and shoot and score. You can do that. She said you can do that. As a small forward, I learned very early that if I wanted to score, I'd better get every rebound because Rachel was tremendously effective behind the three-point line. She didn't miss much, and what she did make, I eventually learned to clean up if I intended on scoring. Life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. At a very young age of 10, my best friend Candace Rakes was killed in a car accident. We would play basketball together, we sat together in class, and ate at the same seat in lunch every day. At recess, we always played together, and on weekends, we would talk our parents into hosting sleepovers. My parents, her mother Jennifer, and her family and extended family established the Candace Rakes Memorial Scholarship. We started with the community walkathon, basketball tournaments hosted by Robin Dotson and J.J. Kelly and the Central Warriors, and over the years, raffled quilts at the annual Fall Fling, half and halves, and accepted private donations. Over the past 20 years, his scholarship fund has reached $106,000. The neatest part is that this scholarship was a primary source of funding for my women's basketball scholarship here at UVa-Wise. Be yourself. The week before our AAU 10 and under national championship tournament in Orlando, Mom had dropped Rachel and I off for a trim at our Uncle Tim's hair salon. She was going to go get some groceries. He put us in his chair and then asked us the question he asked every time, "Girls, what's it going to be today?" Rachel and I kind of looked at each other because we had been at practice the day before, and Terry Ann had a similar haircut. We idolized that haircut. Long story short, Mom showed back up from grocery shopping to find that all of our hair had been cut off. That haircut over the next few months actually got shorter and shorter, and eventually our numbers were shaved in the back of our heads, and Dad colored the numbers in on game day. Leaders are never late. This is a story that happened to me when I was in 6th grade. Lachey Collier and I went to the team camp when J.J. Kelly would take an annual team camp to Emory and Henry every year. Lachey Collier and I were chosen as 6th graders to go the year with the JV and the varsity teams. The way that they had the game set up is that she could play together with me, or she could play in a game and then I could play a different game, so we weren't necessarily playing together. Long story short, I overslept. I had a game at 8 o'clock and I woke up a little after 8. So I get out of bed and my roommate, we're 6th grade. I say, "Shay, we've overslept." She said, "I didn't oversleep. You did." So I can just remember throwing on whatever, trying to find my jersey, ran across campus to Martin Brock. And when I opened the door, I heard sneakers squeaking and the whistles blowing, and I thought, oh my gosh, they've already started. Coach Dotson threw me in that game half asleep and emphasized very loudly, I saw all of these faces, that every mistake that I made was because I was late. I never overslept again, and to this very day, I've never been late for work. A couple more stories. Shoot for perfection. Our sophomore year in high school, a lot of Coach Slee and Coach Clay have talked about it. Our sophomore year in high school, we played Appalachia, which was a team in the district, the Lonesome Pine district at the time. We played in the state final game, and we lost that game. The next year, we played in a quarterfinal game, and we lost in the state quarterfinal game. Those heartbreaker games prepared us for the greatest season and experience of our lives up to that point. Every loss became a lesson, and our senior year, we ended our senior season 30 wins and 0 losses. Always trust your gut feeling. The day that I approached my dad about not playing at VCU is a memory that I will never forget. It was a Sunday afternoon after church. Dad was working in his wood workshop. I was scared and anxious, mostly because I didn't want to let Mom and Dad down. They were very invested in the college recruitment process up to that point. After I spat out the words, "I don't want to go to VCU, I think I'd like to try to play at Wise," there was a very long moment of silence. I learned a valuable lesson from him that day. Although anxious and uncertain, his faith in God's plan directed him to utter these words, okay, I'll see what I can do. This decision was the hardest decision of my life up to that point and has turned out to be the best decision of my life. To play in your hometown is a gift. To play in front of my grandfather 1 year before he became terminally ill was very special, and I'm happy that he had that opportunity to see me play. If I'd gone to VCU, he would not have had that opportunity. People ask me every day, "Do you wish you had gone to play at VCU?" And I'm quick to say that UVa-Wise was the best decision of my life. Your teammates are your life mates. When unfortunate things happen, you can always depend on a teammate. I hadn't met up with any of my teammates since we graduated in '07. Last year, teammate Terry Ann's husband, Brock Funk, passed away unexpectedly. As I walked into the gymnasium in his visitation, I looked in the stands, and there sat my college roommate and her husband, Lachey Collier. As I walk closer to visit with Terry Ann, I see teammate Chelsea Lee. And as I sit waiting for the visitation to begin, I look down at the entrance of the gymnasium, and I see our head coach, Rachel Clay Cohane. We will always be the team from '06, teammates for a very short while, but life mates for life. Thank you again to the college for honoring this team and for honoring my accomplishments here at UVa-Wise.
What a special day. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very inspirational. So we're going to wrap up today, and I think Tim would probably like to get some pictures with everyone. So for the coaches who are here and for the team players who are here, if you could come up after we wrap up here, that would be great, so Tim can get some photos and we can add this to all of the memories. Also, we do have two big games being played today in the Pryor Convocation Center. Our women's basketball and men's basketball teams will be playing Fairmont State University. The men's Fairmont State University team is currently, I think, tied for #1 in the conference, so that will be a tough game, but a good game to watch. And our women are out for payback today because the last time they played Fairmont State at home, it was double overtime, and we lost by just a couple of points, but they played hard, so they're going to win today. Right, Coach? Or did Coach already leave? I told her that a little bit earlier today, so I'm excited for that game as well. Also, please stay and join us at halftime of the men's basketball game to honor Sarah and to hold a special recognition of the 10-year anniversary of the 2006 Women's Basketball AAC Championship team. So thanks so much, everyone, for coming today. And again, major congratulations to Sarah Helton for your induction into the Hall of Fame. And I guess all that's left to say today is go Cavs, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10 years ago, the women's basketball program achieved heights it had never before reached when the team claimed the 2006 Appalachian Athletic Conference tournament title. UVa-Wise won 3 games by 5 points or less in 3 consecutive days to claim the league championship and advance to the national tournament. Joining the team on the court today is Chancellor Donna Price Henry and Smitty. Members of the team joining us today are Caroline Baca, Molly Baldwin, Rachel Helton, Sarah Helton, Terry Ann Hill Funk, Lauren Jervis, Chelsea Lee, Kimberly Norris, Crystal Ratcliffe D. Coaches, Rachel Clay Keohane, Danny Lee, and David Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2006 Appalachian Athletic Conference tournament title champions. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, team member Sarah Helton was inducted into the UVa-Wise Athletics Hall of Fame. A 4-year starter and letter winner, the forward finished as the college's all-time leading scorer with 2,316 points. Helton also held over 1,000 career rebounds and 332 career steals while being a 3-year captain. In 2003, Helton was the Appalachian Athletic Conference Freshman of the Year, as well as third-team All-AAC honoree. A year later, she was voted second-team All-AAC. In 2005, she was named first-team All-AAC and Defensive Player of the Year by the league's coaches. Additionally, Helton was voted third-team All-American. In her senior season, the awards continued to pile on, as she was again voted first-team All-AAC while picking up her second All-American award by being named Honorable Mention All-American. Helton graduated in May of 2007 with a degree in Business Administration, began teaching at Patrick Henry High School in August of 2008, where she presently remains. There, she is a business education instructor, teaching web design, business management, and information technology fundamental courses. Helton's love and passion for leading young adults extends into the athletic arena, where she is a varsity assistant for the girls' volleyball, basketball, and track and field programs. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Cavalier round of applause for newest UVa-Wise Athletic Hall of Fame member, Miss Sarah Helton. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for your 2006 AAC Tournament champions, the UVA-Wise Cavaliers.